This is SME On Point. I'm Liabo Setho. Thank you so much for staying with SABC News. Life in the times of coronavirus has brought upon us a new normal, one where sanitizers are now a necessity. Our featured business of the week is a Johannesburg-based manufacturer called Intervent. They specialize in ventilation and cooling systems. They are now the makers of walk-through sanitizing booths. This is the story of Intervent, shot and edited by Manqoba Nkosi. According to Liabo Setho, the director at Intervent, business was good before Corona, and now it is even better.
Just from how our guys are thinking, how we are thinking, and how we've remodeled our business model has become much better because we've spotted the gaps in the quiet times and we've been able to maximize on those.
Sanitizing has become mandatory in terms of health and hygiene across the world. This outbreak is forcing the world to come up with fast and effective solutions. Intervent says this period found them ready to exploit the gaps in the market with the walk-through sanitizing booth. The company employs more than 30 people whose daily tasks include manufacturing these booths, among other products.
So because that's already a space that we are comfortable within, we understand, and it's a small now addition to our core products. If you listen to the minister when they spoke about 2 weeks ago, it's already gazetted that you need ventilation and adequate ventilation within any working environment where people are to reduce the viral load. So because we are already selling the solution for the COVID, and we've been doing it all over the years as our core business. We've been dealing with removing viruses, extracting air and producing clean air for our customers. The sanitization station is just an addition to a service offering that we already offer.
Although Rampa and his team have identified a gap in the market at a time when the survival of businesses is not guaranteed, he says they have not been immune to negative effects of COVID-19 in other aspects of the business.
Where we've suffered the most is customers not paying us on time. Contracts that we have had that we were picking up are now cancelled because customers have to hold on to their money. Deferred payments and contract terms that have been changed over the last 2 to 3 months.
Experts say the economy will suffer due to COVID-19. Predictions are that it will contract by as much as 7%. This means that businesses may not be around long enough to see the other side of this outbreak.
No one knows what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months. All we can do is to try to keep our doors open and our lights open and have our staff ready to come to work and give us their experiences from the past and have the new guys plugging in new ideas and spotting the gaps in the market, because the market definitely will open. With a lot of companies going under, a lot of products that are going to come off stream, it's now time for South Africa and manufacturing sector as it is to start investing into the country and putting out our own products.
Liabo Setho, SABC News, Johannesburg. Thank you to Intervent for sharing their story with SME On Point. And I do encourage you to go to our Facebook page, which is SME On Point, at SME On Point on our Facebook page, and give us your thoughts about Intervent and how they're doing business. And maybe you might want to buy from them as well. Remember that we want to keep the money circulating in the country. SMEs are helping a lot in developing the economy. So I encourage you to buy from other small businesses. Moving right along, so since the country has been in lockdown, dining has almost become a distant memory. The restaurant industry says it's been among the worst affected by the lockdown regulations. The Restaurant Association says the sale of takeaways for delivery only has merely been a drop in the ocean in bringing the sector back to life. With no customers, no cash flow, diminishing reserves, and no idea when they can open again on-site dining, many restaurants are folding quietly and quickly. Wendy Alberts is the CEO of the Restaurant Association, and she joins us via Skype to tell us more about the impact on the restaurant industry. Wendy, thank you so much, and welcome to SME On Point.
Thank you so much for inviting us today.
Wendy, firstly, let me hear your thoughts about our featured business. You know, we pride ourselves in going out there and featuring businesses that are doing great work. What's your thoughts?
I love a good entrepreneur, and I think that COVID is certainly a time that's bringing great innovation. So regardless of what industry you're in, we're going to see exceptional people with their brilliant minds and their brilliant ideas evolve through this and post-COVID. So it's lovely. It's lovely to see people passionate and lovely to see such lovely local people producing such innovative mechanisms. So I wish them well in their endeavours.
Yeah, it's lovely indeed. Wendy, let's go into the restaurant industry. You do say that it's been very hard hit. I know that I miss going out and sitting and enjoying a meal at my favorite restaurant. How bad is the damage?
You know, the pressure is just getting a lot greater. And I think as the 9 weeks have unfolded and we certainly have opened for deliveries, we've certainly seen that it's just been more drastic on our cash flow and it's been more detrimental to the survival of restaurants. The repercussions of just the delivery space has really left us almost crippled. And the restaurants are really in a dire space. You know, we've had reported figures coming back to us from the third-party deliveries taking up to 42% of our chunk. So restaurants, you know, they've gone back and they've done the good thing and they are colourful, creative, beautiful people who are serving beautiful food. And they've moved back into getting the economy going and they've brought some of their staff back and they've brought delivery on and they've ensured health and safety is at the top of their priority. And we've springboarded the economy and we said, look, we've got to bring hope back to our country. We've got to get food to beautiful people who have always supported our businesses. And they've gone for the last 2 weeks. We quickly saw from the first week that the margins were simply not enough. And we called on to government and said, please, we need you to consider the contactless collection system that we've appealed to you to consider in our submission, as well as the drive-through criteria. So we're feeling very prejudiced in the space. You know, there's been very, very little relief, and restaurants have shown an example of how good we are in the health and safety aspect. You know, our 186-page document detailed every conceivable aspect of the reasons why contactless collection, as well as curbside collections, call and collect, however you want to say it, was more favorable than being exposed to a third-party delivery scooter who's had contact with 40 people. You know, if we look at this whole delivery mechanism, you know, the space that we're so prejudiced in, you can go off and you can grab a bunch of flowers or a chicken or a meal in a supermarket, but you can sit in a car park and wait for them to deliver your groceries, but you can't just drive through and have contactless, no contact, and collect your takeaway. So we certainly do feel that the excuse and the answers that they've given to us has not been feasible in terms of us looking at the repercussion that this has had on our financial model. So we're certainly desperate to open for the next level, not that it's going to give us much more relief, but every step closer to getting our restaurants reopened is important to the industry.
Wendy, let's talk about the job losses. I know that most restaurants, you know, they rely on casual labor. How many jobs can we expect to have been lost by the end of 2020 if no action has been taken?
You know, we sit in a very sad space because there's absolutely no response that's been given to us as an industry for them to be able to understand how big a contributor we are to the GDP, as well as what a large employer we are into the sector. So if we couple with the retail, which sometimes the conversations go on, we're a massive employer of staff. At this point in time, we're sitting about 80% of our staff that are unemployed. And we're having conversations now with restaurants about liquidation and how do we legally get out of our businesses? What is the correct way that we can close our businesses without losing our ability to hold our heads up high? These are not the conversations we should be having. The conversations we should really be having is how much restaurants contribute to the GDP, how important we are to the economy, how we are important to South Africa, how important we are to the everyday lives of people and communities. And this is simply not what we're having. And it's a very, very sad time because we're absolutely crippled. You know, just this week now, restaurants have reported into me that they've been getting their utility bills from the water and lights departments. The municipalities have just unanimously taken a decision to make estimates which are 3 or 4 times as high as what the averages over the last 3 months have been. So restaurants now have got to dig deeper into their pockets, which there's absolutely no funding in those pockets. There's no cash flow. We are absolutely broke. There's just no relief. And we've got to pay these high utility bills, which are based on estimates. You know, they should really take responsibility and they should have opened up proper lines of communication, allowed our restaurants to submit their readings and have billed us accurately and fairly. You know, so we're sitting with another unprecedented charge on our businesses. We're dealing with the liquor licenses that need renewals. Those liquor licenses, if they're not renewed at this point in time, which you well know we're not using, they will lapse and it will be difficult for us to re-engage and get those liquor licenses. SAMRO, SAMPRA, other utilities. You know, we are constantly facing all these unexpected bills. The cost of infrastructure that we've had to put into effect to get our
Can I
restaurants.
just interrupt you there, Wendy, and ask about what is the possible solution? You've mentioned all about drive-thrus and contactless services that you can provide, maybe for the purposes of our viewers, but what are the immediate things if lockdown were to be lifted tomorrow, maybe to level 2? What are the precautions that your industry can take to make sure that they remain safe for everyone who comes in contact with them?
There's absolutely no evidence, not even in South Africa or worldwide, not from any of the worldwide trends or information that we've given, that restaurant is a high-risk area. In fact, we've been deemed as a low-risk area. And, all restaurants are sit-down restaurants by virtue of who we are and by what a restaurant is. Yeah. So to expect us to remodel our businesses to become these delivery services, dark kitchens and takeaways is really compromising the functionality of the opportunity for us to be financially favorable. And we understand and we respect, we need to move through the phases to get ourselves reopened. But we also need government to give us a necessary relief and to engage with us and to understand the contribution that we make to the economy whilst keeping people safe. We certainly don't want people getting sick in our businesses and we don't want staff getting sick. But we also no longer want to prejudice the customer. We don't want to prejudice the health workers or the people in densely populated areas or informal sectors. I think everybody is entitled to be able to collect their food and to put the risk of themselves, whether they're making that contact collection or not.
Yeah, Wendy, and the risk thank you so much. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I think you've made your point in how this industry is important to the economy and the steps that you are taking as well in making sure that everyone is safe. We do thank you on SME On Point for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was Wendy Albers. She's the CEO of the Restaurant Association, taking us through how the restaurant industry has been impacted by these lockdown rules. And lastly, we end SME On Point with a motivational quote. This week it's from Liabo Setho, the voice of marketing. She says, "Your idea isn't terrible. You're just comparing it to other people's ideas that have already succeeded. Don't let comparison paralyze you from making things happen for yourself."